Whatever you think about Kari Lake, this woman is a fighter. She has been battling through the legal system to get this whole Arizona case looked at, and looked at on the substance of it. Now, she lost at the district court level, she lost at the appellate court level, but the Supreme Court, in a remarkable move, while denying a number of her motions to investigate this and investigate that, did send the case back to the trial court and said there is one critical issue that you need to investigate, and that is the matching of the signatures. Now, this is a really important issue because a lot of the ways that voter fraud happens is that you've got bad voter rolls. And so you've got people on voter rolls who shouldn't be on those rolls. And then you also have a signature matching process that is essentially evaporated. People don't really check the signature. And as we're about to find out, Maricopa County does not check the signatures very accurately or carefully at all. Now, the Maricopa County establishment, which is to say the recorder Stephen Reicher, the Board of Supervisors Chairman Bill Gates. These are sort of never-Trumper types. They're in league with the Democrats. They apparently have been working really hard to defeat Kari Lake and defeat MAGA candidates, not just Kari Lake, Abe Hamadeh, and Mark Fincham as well. And it's also emerged that these guys, at one point, started a super PAC dedicated to sort of fighting and opposing the Trump and the MAGA movement. So their agenda is really clear. And now that they have been ordered by the Supreme Court to cooperate in providing these ballots so that Kari Lake's team can start looking at the signatures, they're refusing to do it. They're going, we don't need to do it. We're not under legal obligation to do it. So what are they doing? They're basically stonewalling. They're stonewalling a legitimate judicial process. And Kari Lake in a statement says, we know why they're stonewalling. They know as well as anyone else that these signatures will not match. But these people are so arrogant, they are essentially feel like we're not accountable to anybody. We run the process. We run the system. So we're going to run it our way. And look, the problems with this election in Arizona go far beyond the issue of signature matching. Signature matching is the issue that's going to be looked at, but it's a much bigger issue. The bigger issue is simply this, that on election day, these tabulators, which were working perfectly fine before, and were working perfectly fine in other parts of the state, suddenly basically break down. And it's not one or two of them. It's the majority of them. Break down at the same time during the critical hours when Republicans are trying to vote on election day. And so it's almost as if the Maricopa guys devised a perfect scheme. The perfect scheme is let's have a glitch and let's make it a big one. And let's make it in the crucial area of the state. And let's make it on the day that Republicans are pledged to get out and vote. And this is a way to disrupt the Republican vote. And that is exactly what seems to have happened. Now, there's an expert witness that Kari Lake has found who has apparently decades of experience in the printing industry. He's looking at the fact that these tabulators weren't working, and apparently they weren't working because of a mismatch between the size of the paper and the tabulator. And this expert goes that in his opinion, he's filed an affidavit to this effect, quote, an intentional change was made to the printers affecting the day of election ballots. In other words, you can't just by kind of carelessness, oh, you know what, let's print it on a different size paper and it's not going to work. No, somebody decided, hey, I've got an idea. What about if we print the paper at a different size? It's kind of like knowing that your paper is not going to feed into the tabulator or into the printer. So this is a deliberate action, even though in legal terms, sometimes deliberate action is very difficult to prove. And it may well be that this is why the court decided to focus only on the signature matching issue. Now, Kari Lake is confident that even on that issue, if there is an honest accounting, she will prevail. And on that issue alone, she will win and she will be in the governor's office. In fact, there have been people who've been saying, oh, Kari Lake, give it up. Oh, Kari Lake, there's a Senate seat opening up in Arizona next year. Why don't you run for that? But Kari Lake's like, no. In a sense, she's a bit like Trump. She believes, hey, if I really won, I'm going to try every measure to make sure that I get the legal office that was duly handed to me by the voters through a legitimate election process and was denied me by fraud. By fraud in this case, caused by a failure to do proper legally required signature matching. Here's the point. Maricopa County delegates the signature verification to a third party. This is a company called Runback. And Runback uses this, admittedly, by its own account, kind of third-rate software with a very low threshold. It's kind of like if the signature is running in the same direction, just go with it. It's all right. So basically, and Runback was probably told, by and large, just kind of look the other way, let the signatures through. And so Runback does what they're told. They set a very low bar, a very low standard for signatures. And here's the law. So Kari Lake has the law on her side. Let me read from the actual law. The county recorder or other officer in charge of elections shall compare the signatures thereon with the signature of the elector on the elector's registration record. So this is not a case of you're going to farm it out. It's not a case where you're going to set a low standard. You, the election officials, have the duty to match these signatures. You didn't do it. And therefore, Kari Lake is demanding a proper legal remedy.